and it looks like saltyphry on the right is using what's called outlined link, which would be really interesting to see.
It's always interesting to see what what everyone's sprite game is.
A little bit about these runners, though. Thalane on the left, he's hailing from Germany. He's been playing Randomizer since late of last year, around November or so, playing pretty much every mode but Glitch. And then saltyphry has been playing for about 8 months or so, playing mostly open mode, so hopefully won't have any kind of mental errors from being used to that.
Salty's a real solid runner. He actually destroyed me in the fall tournament last year, so I may or may not have a little bit of bias I'm going to have to work over. Oh wow, early crystal checks. We got red crystal in Desert Palace and Eastern, I believe, and a regular crystal in Hera.
Looked correct to me. So coming up ahead, we're going to have our uncle. He's going to give us our first weapon of the game. This is randomized swords mode, so we will actually get something that we'll be able to use to kill all of these enemies and escape. Let's see what we're going to get.
And the bow start. Honestly, the bow is a relatively quick a tool to utilize to get through escape. It does make the farming for bombs a bit more of an issue, though. And already we've got blue tunic.
Well, it's very early armor, and we get to see an immediate sprite change. So if you like the base sprite, too bad. You're not going to see that for very long today. Just about a minute before we move immediately on to the next male upgrade. This bow start's pretty interesting, though. I mean, like you mentioned, it's kind of harder to farm for bombs because it takes more time to line up your shots. But we do have quite a lot of ammunition, 30 arrows to start with.
Yeah, the bow is pretty quick as far as like just pure movement through the escape portion of the game. But yeah, you do, as you mentioned, you have to take time to line up those shots. You have to kind of balance time spent versus benefits gained from trying to get more bombs. So we'll have to see how these runners decide to approach it. Both of them kind of taking the easy lineup shots in the guard hallway there, pretty understandable. And you're going to be seeing both these runners trying to kill as many extra dudes as they can to try to get those bomb drops.
Now, as far as what these enemies will give us, they're set in certain groups called prize packs, and these contents are randomized, but the order in which they're going to get these items will be the same between each other. The thing about it, though, is there's a 50-50 chance of dropping an item with most enemies, so this may actually come down to coin flips.
I mean, it is Link to the Past randomizer.
And of course, it's not that unlike the RNG from the base game. But so far, we haven't had any bomb drops. We've killed quite a lot of guards, though.
Yeah, I don't know what the blue balls you're talking about, sir.
Sure feels like they're getting them here. Not very good randomness so far with the enemies they've killed, but they've been very effective at killing them efficiently. This is a very fast time here to Zelda's basement, despite how many we've killed.
Yeah, and honestly, they've gotten quite a few cycles through the drop table for both the runners, actually. So, still no bombs yet, but there's quite a lot of escape left. So saltyphry throwing the jukes there to get that guard to line up. That guard right there that thalane just killed, the green one, has some really annoying RNG for movement. So
yeah, most of the time it just gets in your way. We only saw one difference in the ball and chain guard choice of how we killed him. Thalane actually opted to pick up one of the pots and killed the ball and chain guard with 2 more arrows. So using a little bit less ammunition there, he was relatively low.
Yeah, he spent a little bit more time killing guards. So, probably the hardest part of the arrow escape is targeting that rat with the arrow, just because the delay and the travel time of the arrow makes those tricky rats, depending on how they decide to move, a little bit difficult to hit.
So you mentioned before that we cycled through all of the prize pack for these guards, and that's an important thing to remember because certain enemies share prize packs with each other, not all do. So it would be probably wise for our runners at this point to save some of their arrows until they find the rats and the ropes in the back of escape.
Oh, yeah, that's correct. But if the runners weren't paying super careful attention, they might, it's one thing to know the facts, it's another thing to be able to pull them off. Wow, and then thalane does get the bomb drop.
I'm guessing that was the last one in the prize pack.
I think it was. I wasn't 100% sure they were through the entire prize pack cycle, and that's why if you're not sure, taking the extra second or two to kill some guards with a free pot is almost always worthwhile. Now this is going to be interesting for saltyphry because he's going to get to the back part of escape here with different prize packs that may or may not contain bombs.
And it's very likely that if he's going to kill anything, he's going to try to focus mostly on just the stuff that he can kill or whatever he can throw with the pot. It's also worth noting, folks out there, if you're going to try and counter prize pack, that you can get duplicates of the same item.
He goes for a bunch of snake kills and is not rewarded. Well, he's rewarded, but not with bombs specifically, I guess.
Yeah, thankfully he did get some ammo back, but that's all he's got so far. I think that will be Thalane's next pickup.
Oh god, magic cape. Is this really going to be an Agahnim seed? Are you going to do this to me, game? Come on.
Well, there is one saving grace. We could go swordless, and if that's the case, it will not be Agahnim.
That's true. But you know, I've got, like a lot of randomizer players, I've got PTSD.
Rightfully so. It's not fun when you have to find out at the very last possible. Oh wow, that shot from thalane though, headshot from the door.
Yeah, if you get good rat RNG, you'll see some runners doing the same thing with the bombs. If you have a bomb start and you walk into that room, immediately drop a bomb and then walk it to the left, you'll kill the rat a pretty good portion of the time.
Well, this is bad luck for saltyphry. He's gonna miss the lamp here in the back half of escape. He does not have enough arrows to pull this off.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate. And also the lantern, more Agahnim bait. Oh, and then the saltyphry gets the maximum insult by getting a bomb after he's already walked past the bomb area.
With his very last arrow.
Oh man, that is that's the game just giving him the middle finger. You want bombs? Here's some bombs. Take your bombs. That's rough.
He found the one item that his opponent Thalane didn't want to find, which is the green rupee in that chest. Thalane may actually be a little upset about finding that here, but oh no.
Well, so already we've got a pretty important distinction here of, you know, one runner having checked the back of escape with bombs and getting a progression item in the lantern. A lot of runners don't necessarily consider it progression because they can do dark rooms just fine, but the lantern is also an important fire source. So it could be a difference maker. We'll have to see when in hell saltyphry decides to route back to the back of escape for it or not.
Yo, and the full quiver refill, getting 10 arrow drops. That's actually so important for the item that they have.
And both runners opting to skip out on the lumberjack trek. You'll see a lot of the higher end runners decide to skip out on that early, unless they find boots early or something like that.
Yep, they may end up checking certain hoarders later on that are in different places so that they can check that item as well.
Yep, most definitely. Oh, there's a bomb for saltyphry. Oh, and it's in the tree. saltyphry cannot catch or break this seed. Oh my god, that's terrible. I'm laughing at it though, so I'm just guilty.
I mean, it is pretty awful. That's about as bad as it happened. Like, it's cascading bad luck right now for the first 10 minutes. Hopefully just the first 10.
All right, so we've got a pretty standard Kakariko start here. saltyphry does have 50 rupees, so he'll be able to buy bombs. But this is just another instance of the lack of bombs really hurting his early game. So he'll have to spend time to walk all the way down here, check the back of tavern, which has a sword. Very nice.
Yeah, probably a lot happier about finding that than anything else he's found so far, particularly the things he couldn't get.
Yeah, although it turns out there were bombs in the bottom of Blind's hut too, so by the time saltyphry gets up there and finds those bombs, they're going to be unnecessary. So he is just not having good bomb luck this season.
The best way he could be lucky with this routing is if he uses his bomb before checking it, but I don't know if he's going to try to use as many as he can, but if he goes to the well before that hut, then he's not going to lose any bombs.
True. Although with a sword in hand, bombs become a little less important for like clearing mini moldworm cave. But it's always good to have enough bombs on you.
Absolutely.
Last thing you want to do is get to Death Mountain, climb all the way up, and then forget you don't have any bombs.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty bad day. The other thing about this lamp, though, I mean, while our runners probably do know their dark rooms and won't have to worry too much about it, it also impacts where other items could be, so the knowledge of that lamp may actually be more important than using it unless we need that fire source.
Yeah, very true. I'm just still fixated on the Agahnim starter pack that all these runners have picked up here.
Yeah, Agahnim is now alive again, now that we have that sword.
Oh wow, best deal in the world at the bottle vendor. Give me 100 rupees, I'll give you 300. Can I do that deal several thousand times in real life, please? That would be great.
And then we'd have time to play Link to the Past Randomizer 24/7.
Exactly. Jobs and bills, who needs them? I gotta open up chests and figure out what's in there. That's what the randomizer is all about.
Absolutely, and then, of course, skipping the ones where you can later, hopefully. But right now, we're not finding a whole lot as far as progression goes. We have that bow and a lamp in logic, so going to Eastern Palace actually looks somewhat attractive right now.
Yeah, and you know it's a crystal, so it'd be a pretty safe, albeit maybe slightly less efficient route. We'll have to see if the runners opt to go after they finish their Kakariko route. They've kind of got two big options on the table. They can do the kind of the South Lake Hylia route through the dam, or they can go straight to Eastern Palace. You know, check Sahashala's garage on the way.
And of course, they can head there after doing Southside check, depending on how they want to save and quit. So with those options available to them, thalane has opted to save and quit after the race game, trying to go to the house to go Southside. Or at least it looks like it. Yep,
looks
instantly proven wrong.
Yep, yeah. See, that'll learn you. I don't do two things on stream. I don't try to predict, and I don't do math. But I break that rule all the time, so maybe it's a bad rule.
But so heading towards Eastern, we do have the bomb that we need to check the Sahasrala's garage, as you described it. We also have, the bow to finish off Armos, so there's nothing that we can't get in this area. Now, we could have also checked Southside and Nagina's Cave and Ice Rod Cave. If that would give us access somewhere else that would be more item dense, like, say, the mountain, that may have been a play that, saltyphry would do instead. We'll see where he goes here.
Yeah, thalane having that lantern means Eastern Palace is fully in logic, so he might be taking that approach with the items that he has in his possession. Saltyphry making a similar play, just sans the lamp.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to think at this level, 5 and 1. I mean, these guys probably know their dark rooms, so I don't think either of them are too worried about having access to that. But
although I will say that 5 or 6 heart Eastern Palace dark room with 0 fire sources can be rough. If you get bad luck with how those Igors move, you could get punished pretty hard, even if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see anybody in this tournament attempt Gifted with Greenies in that room, that strat. But definitely with the pretty much vanilla equipment, except for that, mail upgrade and cape, we're looking pretty normal Eastern here.
Yeah, bootsless, hook shotless Eastern Palace that's not routed in together with Palace of Darkness. Feels bad, man. But, you got to go where the sea tells you to go. And you got to pick up those 5 bomb capacity upgrades.
Yeah, bomb bags. We're not going to be hurting for bombs when we do find the next couple drops or the next couple chests that have them, because we have over 20 available to us right now, potentially 25 if they stop to pick up that other one.
So I would imagine that if both of these runners find nothing in Eastern Palace, which is certainly possible, that South Shore will be kind of next on the ticket for these guys. Just based on chest density. All right, so we're 2 out of 3 items in Eastern that were both junk. Although $300 is one of the better junk items to get, I suppose.
Certainly this early on, now Zora becomes less of a chore and more of just a routing decision.
Zora's always a chore, my friend. He's
well,
all but his domain.
With another chore.
It's always wet and gross. We gotta farm up money. He's like that weird uncle that lives out in the middle of nowhere, but always has the good stuff.
He's like the other uncle that we have at Catfish.
yeah, your weirder bearded uncle that lives in a pond. The metaphor is breaking down.
It's all right. I was there with you. But we haven't found anything for that third item yet, and that means we have the big chest here to check.
All right, so we got an Eastern Palace gamble here. We've got 1 item left, and then a Dark Room and Armo. So it looks like thalane is opting to do the full check here. Can't say I blame him.
Yeah, in a lot of situations where you have, most of the progression in the game and you come back here later on in the seed, it's kind of a better gamble to go right to Armos. But if it's boots or something like, really important otherwise, being in that chest, you really don't want to have to come back into this dungeon.
Yeah, agreed. But if it turns out, that's why it's the gamble. If it turns out you were right, you save yourself almost a minute.
Yep, thalane could potentially try pumping here to save a little bit of time. This is like the longest stretch of the game where you can pull that off. We get a damage boost here as well. He's going to bump against the Popo to get iframes, pick up that pot, and stand on it when they expire to open this chest.
Oh, and the Eastern Palace Gambit would have paid off. Unless you're a big fan of maps that look like burritos, then it was not worth it.
Barbacoa.
Chicken all the way.
I dig it. No shovel, though, but we do have a dark room on saltyphry's side. He may prefer a different type of food item. And
Yep.
thalane will head through a room that he doesn't need to have dark room here because he will be doing this with the lamp.
Yep. See now that a green Igor doing exactly what he just did on Thalane's side is near fatal when you're trying to do that room dark, because you cannot see the enemy and he makes no noise. So if you're up there trying to pick up the pod and get through that door and you're just getting bodied by that Igor, that could spell trouble real quick.
Well, you mentioned it before that saltyphry didn't have a lot of health to work with. He does manage to get a favorable drop, but it has to take damage to get the big key chest here. Kind of interesting to see how he's going to approach this. He only has 2 hearts to work with.
Yeah, I'm surprised he knows that there was a heart in the other pot by that switch there. I'm surprised he didn't opt to pick it up. He might just be supremely confident in his ability to execute this room. You'll probably see him get out his sword and then use the sword to line up bow shots. Yep, so he's putting an arrow into that unmoving Igor, so he knows where he is. He can pick up the key, lift up that pot. Oh, and he knocks away the Igor. Very well done by saltyphry. That, kids, is how you do that dark room.
Yeah, he didn't get touched. That was about as good as that can go.
I'm super impressed. Meanwhile, speaking of super impressed, thalane did pretty much a textbook Armos Knight fight there with the bow.
Yep, he's able to land that last arrow before the last Armos becomes enraged, which would actually heal it to full 3 shots to kill it, so definitely saving some time there.
Yeah, you don't want to accidentally spoil the ending of Avengers Affinity War of the Armos Knights, because they get enraged. And they get hard to hit.
We'll see if saltyphry can pull off the same Armos kill. There's a lot of different setups. He's going to go for the bottom right setup here.
Maybe he'll opt to spoil Deadpool instead. We'll have to see.
I mean, it was a pretty good movie. You should see it.
Alright, so saltyphry doing a slightly different setup. Oh, misses the last arrow, but still manages to pull off a relatively quick kill there.
Yeah, what happened there is he had shot one of his arrows too early and accidentally hit one of them in the wall instead of colliding with the Armos he wanted, and the spin cycle they do happened a little bit earlier than it was supposed to. The dam hasn't provided much, though. We have just a big 20 in that first chest and, vanilla piece of heart soggy underneath the dam once it's been drained.
Yeah, no one wants a gross piece of heart.
What we're seeing from a lot of high-level runners is avoiding Agahni's cave check early on in the seed, so thalane did not actually go to check that.
In terms of chests per minute, considering the lack of options that runners have, Mini Moldworm Cave or Generous Sky Cave, whatever you want to call it here, is a pretty solid play. So we'll have to see what's in here. Ooh, is that a progression bottle, mayhaps?
Yes, it is. That is the first that we've received, plus heart and flippers.
Ah, well, there you go. Well, I have a feeling that with the flippers pickup, we're not going to be seeing progression bottle plays. We're probably going to see Zora area hobo plays, would be my guess. So this is kind of routing, pretty linear routing for both of these runners, to be honest with you. Not a lot of chance for creativity here. They're just kind of following what the seed gives them at this point.
Yep.
The only major difference is Salty kind of getting bomb robbed in the beginning of the seed and not having that lantern from the back of Escape.
And it remains to be seen whether or not that's actually important. As far as functional use of the lamp, probably not going to see it matter between these 2 runners, but whether or not that messes with the logic and gives thalane some kind of information that he can use as an edge remains to be seen.
Yeah, like the willingness to go do Agahnim with the equipment they have. If I don't have the lamp, I almost never consider Agahnim. But then again, I'm bad, so we'll have to see what these runners decide to do with what items they get.
I mean, that dark maze is a pretty big pain.
Yes.
Fun fact, though, folks, if you are trying to get into Randomizer and want to race competitively, it is tournament legal to actually have darkroom maps open on your computer screen. You can consult that stuff. I mean, it's just you got to be able to do it.
Oh yeah, heck, I still have a map for the pod maze when I do it. But again, see previous comment regarding my badness.
Well, here comes the Lake Hylia checks. Just $50 on the floating island, so we're definitely not going to go pick that up. But Hobo here, or Hobro as many call him, may potentially be generous with something important.
Yeah, definitely. we'll have to see what 20 bucks. That's why he's a hobo, folks. Just got $20.
Did
He's
he
living
just
a
send us
carefree
on a
life
beer
under the
run?
bridge.
All right, so what do we have left here? Agahnim's Cave, Zora, Waterfall Cave.
Yeah, that's about it. We got the Zora area, Agahnim's Cave, and I think that's about it in logic. Well, also Agahnim, but I just threw up a little bit in my mouth saying that. Oh, thalane having some problems with sticky rocks there. Manages to get through it, though.
Sticky rocks, spiky monsters, pretty much everything going wrong in that screen for him. He's going to find 100 in the Waterfall Cave and Moon Pearl.
There's the Moon Pearl. Well, there's even more Agahnim shouting, unfortunately. With the flippers and Moon Pearl and everything you need to get through Agahnim, it's looking pretty suspicious. But at this point, you're already up by the Zora area. You have the money. There's no reason not to do it.
So far, we only find a big 20 on the ledge, so we're not too worried about that item. Saltyphry, make sure he gets his other B in the bottle. That is 2 B-torps confirmed so far in this seed.
All right, it's time to see what creepy Uncle Zora's got. Come
Yeah,
on,
usually
man.
good trade.
It'd be interesting if this was like hookshot or something that would make the Agahnim play even more interesting. Wow, mitts. Well, I guess my understanding of the dark room logic, maybe you can help me out on this one, UD, but you pretty much need to have had access to the back of escape through conventional means since the lantern was back there, so gloves pretty much had to be there or Agahnim's Cave. Am I reading that correctly?
There's actually one caveat to that. You can walk all the way back through the escape normally, and that is the other way. I've actually had my first power glove or lift upgrade in the back of escape. So yeah, that actually can happen.
Nice.
It's actually how I lost my week 1 match, unfortunately.
I'm not still bitter, though. Don't worry about it.
Not at all. Not even 1%. Plus 2 zeros.
Give or take. All right, well, we got ourselves an Agahnim Tower climb. It's pretty important to note here that this is an Agahnim Tower climb that doesn't have a whole lot of extra speed or items that make this go faster. You've got yourself the bow, which is probably your best offensive weapon, and you'll see thalane equipping that here to take out these ball and chain guards. But yeah, no fire rod, no boots, no significantly powerful sword. And since thalane does not have a ton of arrows, he's kind of stuck having to use sword strats here.
You know, I'm a little confused that he's going to Agahnim now because that power glove gave him access to the mountain.
Yeah, perhaps he's seeing what the seed has given him, and because Death Mountain gives you at this point the old man item and the item inside of Spectacle Rock, but that's about it. So perhaps he's saying, I'm pretty sure this is Agahnim. I don't know.
Yeah, so hedging his bets. Well, good news for Saltyphry. He is going to go back to escape, so he'll know that he at least can have access to dark rooms. May feel a little bit, off about having to do them in Eastern Palace, despite having done them very well. But this might send him up the mountain. We'll see if he's going to try to get access to East Dark World first, or to see if he can kind of make a really fortuitous gamble at Death Mountain, providing something important there like Mirror.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. But Saltyphry making what is probably the correct choice in going straight to Agahnim, just given the items that the seed has given you at this point.
I definitely see where you're coming from there. You get a lot more item density in East Dark World than you do on the mountain, which, you get like a save and quit point, but that's about it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the one advantage to doing, I think, Death Mountain is that at the very least, it does unlock the save and quit point there, so it's not like 100% wasted time. But if you find the flute or something like that would make that portion of that climb trivial, you would end up losing a lot of time. So,
also true. Good to point that out. And it's pretty likely they'll find flute somewhere besides there.
Yeah, but we haven't seen the Dark World crystals yet. For all we know, this could be a fluteless seed. Very nice NMG techniques from thalane here. And on the other side of the screen, we see B strats from Saltyphry. Saltyphry, man of the people, giving us the B strats.
This also is handy for later if he wants to use that bottle for anything else. Depends on whether or not he's also going to consider any other B strats. He may want to use that against certain bosses. But I was very stoked to see the circle pot strat from thalane there. Glad you pointed that out.
Yeah, I don't see how Salty could be doing any other technique besides that. I'm sorry, did that pun sting too much?
Ouch. Oh, I can't re-raise that one.
just the cold silence. That's how I know it landed. My work here is done. All right, speaking of work here being done, we've got a glorious Agahnim 1 fight. Let's get the blue ball counter going.
Yep, normally this would be an RNG thing, but both of our runners will have the exact same numbers. That's the first one.
So already we're 100% blue balls.
200%?
God. We're 2 for 2. So for those of you that might not be familiar, oh my god. Agahnim has a set pattern. He teleports 4 times and then does lightning. The very first cast will always be a regular ball. So like this one right here, 100% guaranteed to be a damaging shot. But the next 3 have a 50% chance of being a blue ball or a regular shot. And wow, we are 4 for 4 blue balls. Are you kidding me?
What is this?
Okay, finally, we're 4 for 5. Good lord.
I mean, that's the part where, like, you know, some people out there who are so fast in this game, say NMG, would actually consider their reset.
Well, you know, at 50%, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe 2 to 3 lightning cycles for Agahnim are about average. You know, obviously, if you want a top tier run, you want good blue ball RNG, but
Yeah,
with the randomizer, you just got to take what it gives you. And
yeah,
say,
we have.
"Thank you, may I have another."
There's definitely nothing that would be benefited from fighting Agahnim again or redoing this, unfortunately. But yeah, like, I think there was 4 there. That wasn't that bad.
All right, so that was Green Pendant Swamp, Pendant Mire, and I think Pendant Skull Woods. So my fluteless joke seed, or fluteless seed joke from earlier might actually be true.
It was actually a premonition. There are no jokes in this seed.
No, there are no jokes. There's only I'll be giving the correct lottery numbers for tonight's draw later, so stay tuned for that.
Are they 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15?
I was gonna go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the combination of my luggage.
I mean, it seems like a foolproof strat, but we are going to see Palace of Darkness out of the lane today.
Yeah, when you've got flippers but no hook shot, your options are a little bit more limited. So thalane might be thinking, I got myself a bow, I've got money to pay off a monkey. Let's go check out Palace of Darkness here.
Yep, and you're seeing pretty standard, strategies in general. We're going to try to get as many items in one place as possible wherever we can. And now the thing that does stink about this, though, is this is Palace of No Mirrors also, so it's very slow to route this dungeon without it, but we're not going to be bow locked, which is nice.
Yeah, now that you mention it, it's going to be bootless, mirrorless, hammerless Palace of Darkness. Gross. So we'll have to see if this was in fact a bow lock Palace of Darkness. If this very first chest is not a small key, that would be the case.
Meanwhile, that's the end of Agahnim.
Yeah, saltyphry finishes off Agahnim. Had the exact same blue ball luck, almost like it was programmed in or something. So we'll see if he opts to do something wacky, like go check Catfish before going into Palace of Darkness.
The thing that really stinks about the way that this routing worked is that you can't really, mirror to the Zora area to try and do 2 with 1 stone. So definitely going to be twice as painful to check both.
Yeah, definitely. The mirror is one item I'm always happy to see early because it really kind of simplifies routing, or at least reduces variance, because you can kind of group things into clusters a little bit better. But we see saltyphry making that same Palace of Darkness play. Given how tight the items have been in the progression of this seed, it's no surprise at all to see 2 relatively top tier runners making very similar plays given the same options.
And of course, it is randomizer. We could be just disappointed in everything we find in this dungeon, and then the one happens to be a catfish. But this is statistically the most likely, play to pay off.
Yeah, I mean, but for all we know, Hammer could be in like a Agahnim cave or something.
Yep, nobody checked it.
That would actually be the nightmare scenario because with gloves available early and Moon Pearl, that would have meant Agahnim was not actually required, which would be incredible given the items that these runners were given at the beginning of the seed.
Yeah, we could have a pretty interesting post-race interview if that ends up being the case, but we'll still see what's going to be ahead here in the rest of this dungeon. We're on the right side now, so thalane has just that one hallway to go through, and then he's going to check 2 items up here.
Yep, and I have a feeling he's intentionally taking some spike damage here, maybe? Trying to set up a Death Orb? Maybe not?
He's going all in on finding Hammer.
That'd be super clutch if this chest was Hammer. Oh, not the case.
On the bright side, it wasn't a full health refill, so, you know, he couldn't look back at it and be like, well, I didn't expect that. Like, no, he should have been taking the damage.
Yep, yeah, and the reason you see thalane going downstairs first is that these spikes are programmed to do 1 full heart of damage regardless of the armor that you have. So it's actually faster to murder yourself on that than it would be to take a half heart of damage from the orange Beery there.
With that, though, he's going to make his way towards the back half. We have the bow, so it's a little easier to route the crystal switch ahead. You could do it with like a red boomerang, but that's just one way that you can kind of get the switch to work the way you want it to. But I wonder, do you think we'll see a hammer jump today? I don't think we picked out the big key yet, though, have we?
I don't think so.
We could potentially see a top hammer jump.
Yeah, a hammer jump useful, a lot more useful in Key Sanity than it is in Randomizer. But thalane might still opt for it. Yeah, and I think, you know, not having the big key means that, you know, obviously it's not the greatest play right now. You want to check this side and try to get that big key before you do anything crazy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we don't get to see it more in Randomizer, but there's not a whole lot of reason to skip both the items in the maze, unless you can, like, eliminate it by getting lucky with that one chest, but that's like a 1 in 3 chance.
Oh yeah, well, given how tight the progression has been in this seed, you know, skipping a random chest in here would be a pretty bad idea because the odds of progression being in here are just so high.
Here we get the Harmless Hellway. This, I'm not sure by key logic, shouldn't be... Yeah, it wasn't a key. So that's our compass and our map. We're just finding the big key chest, or the big key somewhere in the dark maze, and then we can check everything in there.
Yeah, I have a feeling that thalane's going to be really sad if it turns out there's no progression in this dark maze. Probably the best case scenario would be something like, well, there you go. There you go, there's some boots for you.
thalane very conveniently finishing your sentence for you with punctuation and a dash at the end, actually, as well.
Yeah, that was just gosh darn respectful of him. I appreciate the courtesy.
Yeah, he's going to zip on through, though, getting this big key chest with a single rupee that he definitely doesn't want to see, though.
Wow, so boots at this point unlock the library, which we know to be the Cane of Bryna, and Sanctuary Bonk Rocks, which thalane is checking right now, I believe. And if this is not he'll probably go to Death Mountain, which you mentioned earlier. So this is pretty efficient clustering of routing, even if it might end up not being the most efficient. I have a feeling thalane's going to be really hoping that the progression is in here and not in Death Mountain.
It worked out pretty well, though, that we ended up going to Palace of Darkness. You know, Aghahnim's definitely a time sink if it's somehow not required.
Oh, no.
Big 20.
So no, Boots not giving progression quite yet, unless something was like desert locked and Book of Medora was in Agahni's cave or something awful.
Yeah, I think that's another really weird place to find the book is in Agahni's cave. You're just like, oh, yeah, I'm in the area. I guess I should pick that up.
Yep. Oh, yeah, and I had forgotten about Agahnim tree here. You've got boots. We got ourselves a blind lumberjack tree check. Oh, big. See, that's why smart runners will often put this off until after they get boots and route it in later.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he had deduced that there must have been something there. So very well done.
That's amazing. So if he wanted to, going up to, you know, he doesn't have anything to get further into the mountain, but next time he does go up, if he can get to the east side, that's pretty much all of the mountain.
Yep. But opting instead to go use his newly found Dark World access. Is he gonna? Yep, I think he's doing progression bottle first.
Looking for that spin speed.
Him. There we go. It's harder than it looks, folks.
Yeah, the key thing about that is you can't be walking in a diagonal off the staircase. You have to be moving in a cardinal direction, north or south.
That is very true. Speaking of things that are true, this is heads up play from thalane. The odds of that bottle actually having progression are pretty low, but it's going to be so hard to route that in later on, especially since he doesn't have the mirror or the flute yet. The ducking down to check sick kid real quick is a pretty heads up play that and really only ended up costing him about 15 seconds.
Well, it ended up being Rich Kid today. Thalane noping his way to the Dark World. He's going to check Skull Woods, which I don't know, in your opinion, or my opinion, I at least feel like it's, historically a pretty good place to find items. Not necessarily more likely or not, though, given that it's only 2 of them.
Yeah, I'd say given how tight the seed has been in progression, opting to include this in your route, I don't think is a terrible idea.
Yep, we have that Titansmith. It was available to us pretty close to this location. We're finding one of the items, which is just a big 20, but there's definitely a possibility for more.
And a key there as well, which means that this left side pitfall routing ended up being working out pretty well. Up thalane, missing the star switch there. He just wanted to see what was at the bottom of the Skull Woods pit there. There's no shame in that.
Thankfully, nobody grabbed him from the bottom of that pit. He didn't get 1.0'd there.
No. 1.0'd.
Good news for saltyphry, though. He does pick up his Titansmith, so we're also making the same remembrance play for the Lumberjack Cave. Both of them blind grabbing that. Pretty impressive to see that so close together.
Yeah, and saltyphry doing what I think we kind of touched on it before. Even though he has the Dark World completely available to him, I think he's opting to include this kind of Death Mountain check in right now, mostly just to unlock the save and quick war point. He's already very close to it, so it will never be easier to route in than right now. So I think that's why he's doing it.
Yeah, and like you were mentioning before, the possibility of a fluteless seed, maybe considering that as well.
Yeah, I mean, and also at the end of the day, it's also another item check. Be interesting to see if he opts to go all the way up to Spectacle Rock or not. Yeah,
well, the Hyruleans haven't been paying their taxes. They've been giving him a lot of money.
Yeah, good lord, what is going on here? Absolutely incredible. All right, so thalane having a little problem with the Gibdos, and is not rewarded for all of his efforts, unfortunately. So saltyphry is right behind him with the added advantage of having that Death Mountain warp point. So perhaps he'll be a little bit more inclined to go up there if he finds, like the hook shot or the mirror and the hammer or something like that.
With everything that we can get right now in Skull Woods sans the Fire Rod, thalane is going to head towards Bumper Cave to make a quick check since we're in the neighborhood. I got to think that if you're not going to go east from here, because I don't think you really can, I guess you could with flippers, but if you're not going to go east, you're going to go to, Thieves Town after Village of Outcasts.
And boy, we were talking about heads-up plays before, and saltyphry making the exact same one that thalane did with turning in that sick kid bottle there. And opting to pick up a red potion. Maybe he's worried about blind, or maybe he's planning ahead for Spike Cave or something like that. Who knows?
Well, thalane in C-shaped house is only going to get a regular heart container, not Sank Heart, unfortunately. He'd rather have that.
Yeah, at this point, that is definitely true. We'll see if saltyphry opts to go into Skull Woods or not. Doesn't look like it, so he'll actually gain a little time over thalane here.
And for all we know, it may end up being a time-neutral decision in the end of the day when we do find that Fire Rod, but being able to do it in one go is definitely going to be faster than what thalane did here.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that one. One decision these runners have to make here is that Thieves Town is a crystal, but diving in here without the hammer is always kind of lame. So
thalane gets the Sank Heart.
What? Wow, magical Christmas land. Must be nice. But saltyphry, it'll be interesting to see if he opts to go all the way down to Hype Cave, or we'll just do Thieves Town while he's in the area here.
And on a tactical level, maybe it'd be better if he didn't, because then he could get his full health refill, and he really needs it.
Yes. Well, that's why he got the red potion, because he knew it was coming.
Yep, he had God vision and just realized, hey, I can actually do this later. Oh, that's right, 3 out of 4 chests. That's a big key.
Yeah, saltyphry making the play all the way down the Hype Cave. I do like this play. Honestly, I like both plays from the runners. This is a pretty split decision. On one hand, it's nice to get a Crystal Thieves Town done while you're close. On the other hand, routing in down to Hype Cave and other locations first to increase the odds of having Hammer or something else is not terrible either.
And if that ended up being the case, you could jump right back to Palace Darkness to finish that up if you found the Hammer over there. So definitely lots of virtues with both routes. Nothing that the lane's done here on the west side's paid off, but there's the Cane of Somalia. I'm sorry,
Cane of Somalia? Wow.
I picked that up from another commentator.
We're hashtag sponsored by countries here. The Cane of Brazil is in the library. We'll see if the runners go back for that.
But with Somalia in hand, we have a couple of different long-term things to consider. Access to both Turtle Rock, which it was a crystal based on what we're seeing there, and then also Misery Mire if we end up having to go to Vitreous for an item in a very troll situation.
Saltyphry doing this routing, pretty clever. He'll end up saving and quitting and then walking the Smiths back to his location and then probably doing Thieves Town at that time. So it's probably the most efficient way to do mirrorless Smith turn-in.
Yeah, as it turns out, Jeremiah the Bullfrog is a famous singer, and he's going to go on a world tour before we end up taking him back. The Lunchbox, on the other hand, I'm not exactly sure what the lore story is behind that.
No, I don't either.
Where's Runner Watcher?
Unlike the frog, the Lunchbox is not a good friend of mine.
Yeah, I've done that a couple times too this tournament.
Ooh, Fire Rod in Hype Cave. Interesting. I wonder if this will incentivize Saltyphry to do a full clear of Skull Woods. It is a pendant dungeon, so this is a tough decision Saltyphry's got right now. To see how hard he wants to commit to these decisions.
And the thing about that too is, if it ends up being an item of value, that's even bigger of a play for him. Today I learned that the dwarf actually swims pretty well into whirlpools.
Yeah, that ends up working out pretty well.
But yeah, that Fire Rod, if he ends up finding something important in Skull Woods, or even just opts to skip it entirely, could pay off in several different ways.
Saltyphry also opting to turn in the Mushroom here. We'll see if this semi out of the way routing ends up paying off for him or not. It's a solid play either way. Meanwhile, thalane showing us pretty textbook phase 1 and 2 blind. And it looks like it was just $50 for the Mushroom, so even more Hylians that are not paying their taxes. That would explain why all the guards are revolting and why the bushes are overgrown by the castle.
Makes a lot of sense to me. Things really going by the wayside, even blending all the way into the Sacred Land as well. So that's a rough story for Hyruleans and their eventual government. But we have a blind fight completed by thalane. Looking like pretty much the first hit of that third cycle was one that kind of delayed him, but he had a very good fight otherwise.
Yeah, you'll have to forgive me. I was not counting items in Thieves Town. Did you catch if there was an item hammerlocked or not? Hate to throw you under the bus.
I know Sanctuary Heart and Quiver Upgrade were in the front. I want to say one dungeon item was in the front. I'm not sure.
Yeah, me either. Maybe Chad can help us out. Meanwhile, we've got Saltyphry. He went into all that trouble to turn in the Dwarf Smith, brother, and is only rewarded with a quarter of a love.
Quarter of a love, Smith.
Doesn't have the same ring to it.
Fair. But we're going to get a Cane of Samaria from the dig game here from thalane. In the meantime, Saltyphry is going to make his way, it appears, towards Dark World again on the west side, potentially either Thieves Town or Skull Woods. But with that Fire Rod, I get the feeling it's Skull Woods.
Yeah, he might be feeling a little behind given the routing, but nope, he's going right back into Thieves Town.
You said something earlier in the seed that is still ringing too. True.
I don't like being reminded when I'm right and wrong, because it's usually the latter. All right, so we've got thalane. He's going to be making a real similar frog play here. It will be done slightly less efficiently than Saltyphry's route. It's worth pointing out.
Yeah, this is a lot of checks he's got to make. So, it might look like, hey, thalane's, quite a bit ahead based on having finished Thieves Town. But no, it's not that different, really. This is a pretty quick finish with boots.
Yeah, the possession of boots does mean that you're punished a little bit less for extra overworld routing just because it takes less time. It's kind of like finding the flute early. It just minimizes the impact that those decisions have. That's not to say that they don't have an impact. They cost less and appear like time value.
So how do you think Thalane feels right now? About to pick up this fire rod.
Well, he'll feel warmed by the heat rays of the fire rod. Is that where you're going with this one?
Plus the mushroom as well. Just a burning feeling in his soul as he picks up the fire rod and realizes that he could have completed Skull Woods all in one go.
Well, the seeds try to tell him that it wants him to blaze up the mushroom. I would assume that that's what it is. And then it also gave him bribe money for the Hylian police that are underpaid because there's no taxes.
I mean, they did give him a lighter and drugs.
Yeah, I mean, what is VTorp trying to tell the community here?
It was VTorp confirmed twice.
Exactly.
Well, with the Titan's Mitts and Boots, though, we're going to get a King's Tomb check from Thalane. This is also available to saltyphry as soon as he's done with his current Dark World checks. So what's going to be today?
Wow, was that Big 20 in both Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb?
Yeah, it's looking like a Big 20 day. Not quite Walrus Prime, but close enough, I guess.
Well, I think Thalane's going to, instead of opting for the Whirlpool routing, just including it in with King's Tomb, also pretty solid routing, to be honest with you, for this mushroom turn-in. But the more time he spends doing all this stuff that saltyphry has already done, the more time it gives saltyphry to catch up.
Yeah, looking at it, with this check, he's going to... Well, he might actually go back to Skull Woods, hard to say. And if he does, then these runners are actually going to look pretty close together. Can't think of where else you would go at this point. He does a hard reset as well, because he knows that Big 20 wasn't valuable.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the runners have got, there's the all-important Agahnim Cave left. We do have inside of Spectacle Rock. There's the Gary's Lunchbox turn, and there's a lot of little one-off locations that are left. We even have the back of Pendant Skull Woods, which is gross. But, it's still in the options, regardless of its level of grossness.
I think it's something I'd be more willing to do if I had the mirror and book right now.
the spoken like a man that's been burned by the pedestal.
I mean, I'm not saying Fahrenheit 451, had an idea about books, but...
No, understandable. We have to learn from the examples of our, movie ancestors. I've already made Avengers references, so why not just keep going with it?
It would be a book, but they burned it.
No, that was the mushroom.
True. But we're going to get a blind fight from saltyphry as well. Thalane has some decisions to make. I'm kind of curious as to where he's heading right now. He's going to pass Usain Bolt. Oh, he didn't pick up the Cane of Burma.
Cane of Burma. Yeah, I wonder if he's in the neighborhood of Ice Palace, so maybe they're thinking that Fire Rod would be a couple of chests you could check. But man, going into Ice Palace without the hammer just feels bad, man.
Yeah, last thing I'd want to do. The thing is, though, is like how many one-offs do you check before you finally resign to it and you're like, yeah, it's got to be there.
Yeah, well, I mean, Hammerless, Crystal Ice Palace, or one chest Fire Rod, Pendant Skull Woods. I mean, neither one of those are particularly good choices. But it looks like Thalane is going back into the Dark World. I wonder if he's going to go pick up Gary's Lunchbox chest over by the Reverse Smith area. Appears that he's heading that direction.
Could today be the day that we finally see a fence dash in randomizer?
The dream is alive. Alright, so saltyphry is going to... I don't think he checked Bumper Cave like Thalane did. So he'll get eyeballs on this garbage.
He just denies the fence dash possibility. He's like, no.
He's had enough of this siege shenanigans.
Well, Bumper Cave was useless at a big 20. I don't know if Thalane already checked it, but we are going to see what this purple chest is, and probably Agahnim's as well.
And I have a feeling that saltyphry is going to be a lot more willing to full clear Mothula Skull Woods with the Fire Rod in hand than his opponent was, since it was impossible for his opponent to do it.
And fortunate for him, he's going to get the big key immediately, so he can do a little bit safer routing through here.
All right, so Gary's lunchbox, explosive results, but not the kind that we wanted to see. Doing a ledge check without the means to get it. Not a terrible idea since you're in the area. If you've resigned to checking Agahnim at 49 minutes with this view progression, you're really trying to maximize your options.
Yep,
So
the intel's not too bad there.
Yeah, it'd be ridiculous if something important was in here.
I'm still holding out for that hammer. That was pretty funny suggestion.
Oh no, it was garbage. Honestly, I'm kind of relieved because if it had been a heavy progression item, I have a feeling thalane might have felt like he might have had to start doing some crazy gambles to make up time.
Right, because at that point you're wondering, like, you know, could I potentially escape Agahnim? And, you know, we know that that wasn't possible for our runners based on what we found with Lumberjack, but geez.
Yeah, I think we're seeing Ice Palace. It's interesting how the difference in routing has caused both of these runners to value different things. Because saltyphry skipped past Thieves Town and Skull Woods, unlike his opponent, he found the fire rod late, so which means that he was more inclined to full clear Skull Woods while he was in the area. Whereas thalane's checking of the front of Skull Woods without fire rod meant that that location was less valuable and he was more willing to go into Ice Palace. So, you know, given how tight the seed was with its progression, even those tiny, small little differences have really big ripples through the rest of the seed.
And judging by how far deep saltyphry is going, it looks like you're absolutely right about him choosing to full clear this. He's going all the way back to Mothula. I gotta think, though, I mean, in this situation, do you just go to Mothula first, or do you do the maze first? I would go back to Moth myself.
Well, you're only looking for one item, and Moth is not a green pendant boss. So I think in terms of speed, like that one chest is faster. But it looks like saltyphry agrees with you and is opting to check that area.
Could possibly be hedging his bets against the really rough possibility of a pedestal seed.
Yeah, that's really true. Oh, we've got slow ice with a map in that first chest in Ice Palace. That means that the game not having hookshot means the game wants you to route Ice Palace in a very particular manner. So there's still hope alive that there's something in this palace, but the odds of it happening have gotten a little bit lower.
So I'm starting to double guess myself as far as to why you would want to go back to Mothula, because he does just have Fire Sword, and that is a very slow fight, even if things go well.
Yep, yeah, I was actually a bit surprised to see him going back here first, looking for just one item, but who knows? Maybe he just really hates moths. I mean, I'm not here to judge. Bugs are
Distinct possibility, but he will pull it off.
Oh, and it's only 20 bucks. Yikes. So what, we've got the rest of Ice Palace, Catfish, and the item in Spectacle Rock. I think those are literally the only spots left in this garbage fire of a seed. I love it.
Yeah, that's everything. We have had a King's Tomb check, and there's no mirror to check much of anything else.
Alright, so thalane having a little bit of trubs with the Ice Palace bomb jump there, but manages to pull it off.
So let's imagine, like, the worst case scenario, that it really is a pedestal. I mean, what's the only item that we require at this point just to get those pendants? Is it pretty much just mirror and hookshot?
Yeah. Oh no, we would need flute to be able to get into Misery Mire.
Okay, so that can only really be an item if it's one of the medallions needed to open Turtle Rock or a fetch quest chain that leads you there.
It is theoretically possible that Hammer is on the pedestal. I'm just throwing that out there.
Good lord.
But you know, let's not go crazy with the pedestal. You know, dreams and nightmares. There's still a lot that could happen here.
But that would be the one situation where saltyphry's decision to burn the moth down would actually end up being a victorious solution.
So thalane is getting... Ice Palace is just giving him the runaround here. He keeps getting items that lead him back to keys that lead him to the other side of the dungeon. So now he has to go back here and bomb his way down. The Ice Palace dream is still alive, though, kids. Oh yeah, Ice Palace...
Routing.
Yeah, the chat is correctly pointing out that Hammer can't be on pedestal. I forgot that you need it for the pegs. Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. So hammerless Ice Palace playing the bet paying off, but saltyphry is right behind thalane here. Wow, absolutely incredible.
Just the bonkersness of this seed so far.
Wow, such a tight progression seed to have hammer in Ice Palace. Gross. So yeah, we get to see another bomb strat for these penguins here. Without hookshot or a better sword, bombs are the fastest way to kill these jerks. They do take quite a few fighter sword hits, unfortunately.
Yeah, the rough thing, of course, being that it's kind of hard to manipulate them, but saltyphry will actually use some sword slashes to keep that last one in the corner. Ice Tea is just a compass. I think we've already found the map in the very first chest, so with that, anything else here for thalane, including Cold Stare, will be an item.
Yeah, I wonder if he is going to do the bomb shot, or the bomb jump here, to get back to where he wants to go in Ice Palace to check those chests that were previously hammer-locked. Looks like he's on his way to do just that.
Yeah, that's really cool what he can do here.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways to set up this bomb jump, but it's once you take a little bit of time to practice it, it's actually not too terrible. So we see thalane setting it up. I think he had it, but those theories were not having it.
Exactly that. You need to be on the farthest south pixel you can be.
Yep, and then he's using a spin to buffer himself there. Very nicely done.
That's about as smooth as I could have gone besides the enemies.
Yep. And saltyphry, I think, making an interesting play here, knowing that he's going to have to full clear this place and not knowing if he's going to have hammer, opts to not spend time on the Ice Palace bomb jump. Given that thalane ended up having a couple of misses with his bomb jump setup, he might actually pick up a little time over his opponent here with this strat.
And of course, that does depend on the routing. We did see thalane walking back and forth throughout the dungeon several times, so saltyphry will probably have some loops he has to do here. Whether or not he remains heads up enough to find the right chests in the right order depends on his knowledge of routing.
Very true. Well, and I think just the way the keys were laid out in this dungeon, it's, you know, there's not you don't have a whole lot of choice but to go down and get this freezer chest and then go back up and then go to the right side for the big key. I mean, you just don't have a lot of options. It just sucks.
So I'm a little surprised to see thalane saving and quitting. Maybe his configuration of the peg switch wasn't favorable to get to Cold Stare quickly.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised. You have Cane of Samaria, so and the big key, so you can just go down to that bottom room, and oh boy, spin speed just eluding thalane there. You can just go down to that bottom room and, you know, just Cane of Samaria your way through the dungeon, but maybe his item count was off, because I think there's 2 items that we saw in Ice Palace there.
Yeah, and we did see the map and the compass, so there definitely was something at Cold Stare. Well, with that hammer, though, he's going to go right back to Palace of Darkness. He really wants to finish this up, so that will help him clear out the rest of the east side of the Dark World, besides the Catfish, of course.
Yeah, I mean, Palace of Darkness is not going to get any faster. You've already got boots, you've already cleared the area, and you've already cleared Eastern Palace, so even if you were to find the mirror, it's not like, you know, this is getting any faster. So you might as well just get it done. It's a crystal dungeon. Get it done.
Chad is pointing out that he may not have had enough magic to break the Cold Stare ice shell. And I don't think with the 2 magic decanters you get right before the fight that he would have had enough, though there may have been other magic pickups.
Yeah, that's true. The magic pickup on the east side over there might have been crystal switch locked for him, now that I think about it. So yeah, Chad helping us out again there. I think that's a really good point.
Unfortunately, we don't have a master sword, so you can't do, you know, really sweet looking sword beam strats, and there's definitely no bombos to use. Although I really don't envy anybody trying to do bombos, fighter sword, Cold Stare.
Yeah, and I think saltyphry's coming to the exact same conclusion that thalane did there. Man, going into hammerless Ice Palace to find the hammer, only to not have enough magic to actually kill Cold Stare. This C is just a jerk.
I mean, in NMG, that's where people forfeit, isn't it?
Yeah, that sounds about right. And the sad thing is if you had been able to smell that coming, there are a few extra magic pickups you could get in the very beginning part of Ice Palace. I don't know if the 1 or 2 or 3 small magic pickups would have been enough to make the difference there. I don't think so, based on how low their magic meter is.
Nevertheless, we will get a full magic refill from this boss fight after we finish it, so that may actually be what Thalane has in mind. Saltyphry is actually heading the same direction. He almost looked like he was going to be heading to Catfish.
Yeah, I mean, the Saltyphry is going in this direction, I think, for all the same reasons that Thalane did. It's required, it's not going to get any faster. We'll give you a full magic refill. You know, why not just get it done? Without the... Oh, go ahead.
Well, the Helmosaur King fight, we're just hitting this 17 times in the face of the hammer, and then we don't have any kind of silver arrows, so they may end up opting to use the hammer on the second phase or the bow.
Yeah, the bow is a little safer, hammer a little faster if you could pull off the hits with it, but man, hitting those hammer hits on the Helmosaur King's jewel forehead there is a lot harder than it looks.
And it's even more difficult with Fighter Sword, which doesn't extend the hitbox as far as the Master Sword and onwards does.
Oh, wow. Wow. Oh my gosh. So mirror, right? So hard double dip of Palace of Darkness. Was the double dip required? What did Boots lead to? Help me out here.
Boots, well, it gave us the Titan's Mitts.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yep. So yeah, hard double dip of Palace of Darkness required. Yikes.
To get an Ice Palace.
Gross.
Well, thankfully, both of them are doing the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, like we mentioned, this seed has had just really tight routing. So a lot of execution importance, and then taking advantage of the tiny places where you can be more efficient in your routing, the better.
It's just amazing that they both ended up, you know, some of the harder to make decisions. You know, you could be chasing off one-offs, but they've avoided that for the most part. There's still a few things that we haven't been to, including Death Mountain, as far as, you know, actually exploring the rest of it. Now that we have the mirror, it makes sense to go through, though.
Oh, yeah. Well,
and the hammer.
And, you know, Thalane is going through ground that Saltyphry has already tread right now. Saltyphry has already unlocked the Death Mountain, like, warp point. So if Saltyphry opts to go to Death Mountain with the mirror and the hammer, which is a very smart play, unlocks a ton of locations, he'll be able to save and quit and go straight to the old man. So he'll only be slightly behind Thalane. This has been a pretty close race.
Yeah, and there's not much reason to go very far elsewhere. With the mirror, you could go into Swamp Palace. That is a possibility, but that is a pendant right now. So besides item density, when you have all of Death Mountain to check, I can't see any other reason.
Oh yeah, well, and no hook shots. You couldn't clear it. Like, gross.
Though after the last 2 double dips, you may be considering it.
Yeah, I mean, like, how trolly could the seed possibly be? Wink, wink. But
Yeah,
we'll have
ain't
to see.
seen nothing yet.
Yeah, exactly. So the odds of anything important being inside Spectacle Rock here have to be basically 0, but they're not, because Quake could be required. So once again, I'm a big fat liar.
I mean, then again, there is a chance that it's not. You know, potentially 2 out of 3 if we share a medallion.
Yeah, well, if you were going to have the seed give you 2 progression items in the same sphere, having Quake be right there is not terrible. You might be wondering why Thalane is not picking it up, because it's not known to be required. He's not going to waste the time to pick it up now, and if it turns out that Turtle Rock is Quake, he'll know exactly where it is.
Right, and he would already be up here to get it too, if he was heading to Turtle Rock anyway. We're going to get a Master Sword in Tower of Hera, though, so unfortunately we don't have a book to check the tablet next door, but it's a whole lot better to have this than not.
Maybe the dream of the Tower of Hera pedestal, or the pedestal and tablet starter set could be complete. Maybe the Master Sword and the book are in Hera. I mean, highly doubtful. The seed has not been kind. Why would it start being kind now?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, hookshot's really the only thing preventing us from, you know, being able to get the pedestal at this point. You know, we can't check it without the book, but we could still blind pull it.
Yeah, I think the only way the pedestal dream is still alive is that if one of the required medallions is on the pedestal and it's not Quake.
And yeah, so the odds of that being pretty small at this point.
Ah, yes. But it's worth noting that the dream is not 100% dead, unlike most of my dreams.
Well, so we don't have the hook shot. We can't really just pull ourselves across this gap, but we can set ourselves up for a bomb jump. Thalane's going to do a dash bonk here to give him a 6-pixel window, but he did it too early.
Yeah, that was just a wee bit too early there. Oh, and he is maximum punished by the... Yeah, the problem with missing that bomb jump is that it's super costly. You fall 2 floors, and with that, saltyphry and thalane, after an hour, are almost about 1 screen transition apart here. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, please stand by, folks, while we resynchronize your stream.
You paid for your whole chair, but you're only going to need the edge. Okay, that might have been a little hyperbole, that they're not quite done with the race yet.
But, I mean, I'm definitely in the edge of my seat. Tower of Hera is a very fun place to watch people who are competing against each other, and they're both going to try to do this bomb jump at the same time, so you get to see some side-by-side strats, which in Randomizer is sometimes rare.
All right, we'll see if thalane is going to yet. Yeah, he waits the requisite amount of time that time. We'll see if saltyphry goes for it. He does. It's a 6-pixel window with the boots as a safety.
Oh, no!
Oh, jeez. I'm sorry I cursed you.
Inadvertently picking up the bomb, not knowing what to do with it, throwing it, and still getting bombed into the gap. That's about his worst. That's the worst way that can go down. But saltyphry does remember to hit the switch, and climbing back up, he's not going to have to kill the hard-hatted beetles, or if any of them respawn, it'd be one less of them.
Yeah, that was a little rough. Well, speaking of things not being a little rough, that was a pretty decent Moldworm fight by thalane there.
Unfortunately, though, that key being there should mean that the basement is going to have a item, so we may have a chance for a coffee break about an hour into the seed.
Why would this seed give you anything other than Hera basement having an item? I would have been surprised if he had given the item, because that would have been too kind. All right, saltyphry says, "Screw you, Moon Pearl bomb jump." I'm doing the vanilla intended strats, and I can't say I blame him. Actually, wait, no, that's two items. We got the Master Sword and the Arrow upgrade, so there is nothing in the Hera basement. I can't count. Never
I made
learned
the
how to
same
count.
mistake. But we did find on Floating Island bombos, so possibility of pedestal being ether is really the only thing that could possibly be important there.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Everything's coming up ether.
All right, we'll see if saltyphry has as good a fight as thalane did here.
I gotta say, I'm not impressed that neither of our runners used hammer against their fight.
Hammer is nice because there's no charge, it's like an instant windup. But spin Master Swords do the same damage to Moldworm as hammer, and you have the advantage of having a really wide hitbox to take advantage of the way Moldworm's weird tail is.
And of course, you can bounce off the edge.
Yeah, it's a lot safer. So if you know what you're doing and are well practiced, Master Sword spins are actually a little bit more effective. But a hammer is also very effective. Oh no, saltyphry gets. God, I hate Dead Rock so much. The damn stone squirrels. They can go die in a fire.
Yeah,
I would pick up
powder.
I would go pick up Quake just to turn those guys into blobs. Ooh, and we get Ice Rod in Paradox Cave. That's a really nice item to find. The last thing you want at the end of your seed is an Ice Rod hunt.
Well, so we are coming up pretty close here on the last possible piece of information that would make that pedestal be alive. We're going to find out what the Turtle Rock requirement is.
Well, he might opt to do Spiral Cave. Oh wait, what was it? I missed it.
It was Bombos. So that
Alright.
is on the Floating Island Cave, but we can't get it without the hook shot. Or no, we can get that without the hook shot, but we can't get all the items in that cave without the hook shot. And the nice thing about that, though, is next time you're up in the area, to get to Turtle Rock, if you come from the south side of the mountain or the bottom of the mountain and take that portal, oh, there's the ether.
Wow, man, it's Medallion Rock up here. Good lord. Thalane just could not get that Hammer peg down. Oh, that was glorious.
You make
We
sure
got
we
a
understood
rage
how he
swing.
felt with that sword slash.
There's not a lot of ways you can express yourself in a Link to the Past randomizer when there's no mic, but frustration slashes are definitely the way to go.
I'm a fan of pulling on walls, dash bongs, particularly in Agahnim fights.
Yes, yeah, bonking against the walls, excellent. We're masters of nonverbal communication, these runners are.
Oh, with that though, that should be pretty much everything that we can possibly be stuck behind for pendants. So we're not going to see our runners, really dive into these pendant dungeons unless they have trouble finding this hook shot. It looks like that's really the one item that's eluding us here.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that with Ice Rod in hand, the odds of one of these runners going into Total Rock pretty high. You've got everything you need to clear the dungeon, I believe. So why not?
Yeah, we would probably see hammer strats against Trinex, or at the very least, magic. Well, we don't have a potion to refill magic, so I mean, it's possible and it's very doable. I'm wondering if anybody would feel uncomfortable with doing that at this point.
Yeah, I mean, given the skill of these runners, I'd say the odds of them wanting to go for it are pretty high. And who knows, you might find something in Total Rock that's progression. So I'd say it's probably the right decision. And go mode Turtle Rock versus not go mode Turtle Rock is a pretty small difference. You get to skip Mimic Cave and maybe one extra chest. That's about it.
Absolutely true. I don't think anybody's done Spike Cave, so this would be a chance for them to do it after this dungeon as well. So that might end up being fortunate routing if that ends up being, say, the hook shot.
Yeah, it would be pretty clean. It would be nice for something to work out in the seed for once.
Well, here comes the Bombos. Looks like Thalane's definitely going to at least open it up. I think you're 100% right about him going in, though.
Yeah, I would be shocked, actually, if both of these runners did not go into Turtle Rock. And saltyphry making the same play with boots here. Odds of this having progression are probably pretty low, but you never know. And you're already here. There's no reason to skip it.
All right, so is Hookshot in Chomp's room or Laser Bridge? What do you think?
Oh, God. Well, I mean, if you're giving me those exact two options, I'm going to say Laser Bridge because it's more chests. So I win.
The interesting thing is we haven't seen a shield all game, and logically we're supposed to have access to 3 of them before we can check those.
Well, I think the logic accounts for
invincibility
Bottles and Cape Rhina, I believe, as well.
Yeah, so we've had access to that. You're right.
It doesn't happen very often, but I am occasionally correct. I would still be floating around in the Palace of Darkness area if I was playing this seed. So Thalane correctly remembering he does not have the hook shot before firing those fire rod shots. Very, very important thing to remember there. The muscle memory is real.
Yeah, definitely. It's extra smart too because he doesn't have a lot of magic to work with. We haven't found half magic at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's a magic refill over there, but it's usually nicer to use that on the way out. I think if he hadn't forgotten and wasted his magic, he would have had to mirror at the end of the roller bar room here. I'd say the biggest troll this seed could throw out at this point would be is if the only progression that was in Turtle Rock was like Flute or something like that, and then they have to go into Pendant, Mire, or something else gross.
Wait a second, that just occurred to me. We don't have Flute or Book for Desert.
Oh yeah, the dream is still alive.
Well then, so yeah, folks. I mean, what if it was Book?
Well, I mean, if you have it can't be on pedestal because the only way to get into Mire would be with Flute, and if you have Flute, you can get into the desert with what we've already got.
Oh, right.
All right. Meanwhile, all right. Here's the Chomp room. Thalane had some not particularly great luck with his chain Chomp RNG there. Jeez. Ha! I win. Statistics pay out once again.
Well, so that is several times in the last few minutes that you've been right. Surely there's something you're going to say that's wrong soon.
Oh, all you have to do is wait, my friend. All you have to do is wait.
Sounds like weather in Michigan. But we have interesting thing being brought up in chat, though. Possibility of Book on Cold Stare?
Possible. I would say for these runners, the only reason that they didn't go back into Ice Palace right away, I suspect, is that like there's a lot of items they could find that would make Ice Palace faster to clear. So having access to Mirror meant that they could do all of this Death Mountain area, and with Master Sword and all the other things that they're picking up, you know, it would just have a chance to make Cold Stare just a little bit faster of a fight. So I have a feeling that if they get nothing in Turtle Rock up here, that Ice Palace will probably be next on the docket. And that whole sentence was just a giant excuse to set up saying the word docket.
Hey, I'm no lawyer, but that sounds like correct usage to me.
I am not a rando lawyer. Alright, so saltyphry, oh my god, having similar bad luck with these chain chomps. Good lord. Yikes.
Getting as close as he can to dying there. Next one would have been lethal.
That is true. Well, he does have that, jeez, saltyphry, you're killing me. You're killing me because you're almost killing yourself. Yeah, he does have that red potion, so it sucks to use it on something like that, but you know, you got to make use of all the tools that you're given, so. Alright, so we're in one of the last chests that you would have been able to skip in Turtle Rock if you were go-moding this dungeon.
Yep, and I guess this is where being a rando lawyer would pay off, because you'd be able to tell us whether or not this is considered Overworld or this is considered Turtle Rock, but it's half magic.
I think the correct answer to that question is yes. And Thalane is so happy to get half magic, he wanted to go back into that room and say, thanks, buddy. I don't know why that room is his buddy, but you know, Thalane is a polite runner. I can respect it. And honestly, I'd say that half magic was probably worth the time investment, because we don't have silver arrows yet, and we're still on Master Sword. So if you're going to fight Silverless Master Sword Ganon, doing it with half magic is a lot better than doing it without half magic.
Yeah, it would definitely lessen the need to pick up potions. And if we could possibly do this and finish without potions, that'd be really nice routing.
Yeah, I had to agree with you on that one.
But I have also fallen prey to the Master Sword, even with Silver's Ganon, and that I needed potions for. So I would not be surprised for anybody to make that routing decision. Even top-level players, depending on how they feel about their Master Sword Silverless.
Oh yeah, well, and at that point too, it's less a matter of pride and more a matter of what is the fastest possible way I can do this. Like, is the time I'll gain from having access to a potion worth the time investment it would take to go buy the potion? I think if you don't have the flute, the answer to that is probably don't get it. But if you have the flute, it's so quick to go pick up potions.
Yeah, and we did kill Agahnim, so we can take that bridge warp as well, which is really handy for that type of routing.
Yeah, saltyphry is probably pretty happy to see that magic refill, especially right before Laser Bridge. All right, let's see if I was right by basis of... Oh, yes! Oh, yes! Oh, it feels so good. Oh, being right.
And just for consolation, we get one of our shield upgrades as well.
Oh, man.
So the
I don't need to eat lunch anymore. I'm too full. So yeah, hook shots.
You're too good?
No, I'm not that good. I'm only good at random meaningless stuff like getting lucky and calling the location of an item. But Thalane has got himself a 3-heart Trinex fight here.
This is pretty dangerous. He doesn't really have anything to heal with. I mean, he could have possibly a fake powder in the room before, but he doesn't want to use all of his magic doing that.
Yeah, and that's actually one area where half magic sucks, is it takes longer to empty your magic, so setting up the fake powder trick would take more time and borderline not be worth it. Oh no! Oh, Trinex! Oh no! So that is a pretty incredible time loss for Thalane. He's gonna lose a solid minute or two there, which is really unfortunate.
The one saving grace is that he did go to Mimic Cave, so I mean he will actually be able to get that door instead of the main entrance. But saltyphry also getting his hook shot.
That's the good part about the one-on-one, is that when I am rarely eventually right, I get to be right twice.
Well, saltyphry is looking a lot better with his magic, and he's also in a position to do a fake powder if he wanted to.
Yeah, his health is a little bit better. He might not even be tempted to take the time. Yeah, that right there is a reason why even really good runners like Thalane, Master Sword Trinex, or excuse me, Hammer Trinex is not free because all it takes is a little bit of movement like that and getting a little too close, and Trinex hugs are scary.
He was doing really well with the front door strats, though. I mean, he almost pulled off that first cycle really well with switching his items without wasting the time. But we're going to see backdoor strats from saltyphry. So backdoor Master Sword. Well, actually, Hammer.
Yeah, and the risk of it is exactly what just happened to saltyphry. If you're not careful with your movement, you can get knocked into those spikes. So saltyphry does get a little bit unlucky with an early ice cast by the ice head there.
And you're going to see him try to burn the whole thing down. It's just the more efficient route. If you can get the shots, just do that instead.
I thought you were talking about like this entire seed because it was a garbage pile.
You could be referring to Trinex himself, who is currently putting on a light show with the C4 hidden in his shell.
That's true. I don't know how that works. That's magic. All right, so
all I know is that
saltyphry
has a lot.
One more hit, and he will be. Oh, he still goes for the hammer, and he makes it. Wow, saltyphry, skin of his teeth, gets the hammer Trinex kill there.
Well, judging by the looks of things, I guess that would put him in the lead here, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be correct. I mean, Thalane is right behind him. So after an hour and 20 minutes, we've got runners within, what, 30, 40 seconds of each other. Is incredible.
However, we are still not in go mode. We don't actually have access to Desert Palace yet.
Yeah, and I think, saltyphry, I think, is going to check Spike Cave, like you mentioned. And the rest of Hookshot Cave. Yep, that's smart. I wonder if he gets nothing here, if he will bother with Spike Cave or not. The thing you worry about at this point is, I've gone all the way through Turtle Rock. I've gotten Hookshot. So Hookshot is my next, sphere progression item. How crazy do I go with other checks? Do I go into Pendant Swamp, which is gross? I think the runners would opt to finish off Ice Palace before they did that.
Yeah, as crazy as it is, books could still be there.
Alright, so Thalane finished up Trinex as well, making the same play that saltyphry did. Oh, gets blue jellyfished. Those guys are jerks.
Yep, takes a long way back around, is trying to wait for it to do its thing.
Nobody likes you, blue jellyfish.
Well, we'll see about Spike Cave getting any love today. Ah, gross.
The worst boomerang. Ew. If only you could put that back in the chest.
Yeah, and uncheck it from the item collection. Ugh. I mean, you could hard reset. That's what I would do.
Yeah, even if I had to redo Turtle Rock.
Seriously, just not worth.
Yeah, it's good to meet another man of principle.
Likewise.
Alright, so we're going to see what saltyphry opts to do here. I have a feeling that Ice Palace is probably going to be the play. Mostly because I want to be right again. It's like a drug, and I can't get over it. I want it back.
Well, it's beginning to look a lot like dopamine for you, my friend. We have saltyphry heading down towards Ice Palace again. Ooh, Thalane making the critical mistake of saving his progress after that boomerang.
Yeah, that's got to be a ding on the swag coolness points factor. Yeah, we've got someone in chat mentioning that they should unplug their console and plug it back in just to remove the tinge of red boomerang from your inventory, and I support those techniques. Probably 100%. Not in the middle of a race, but you'd be right on principle.
I found something out interesting recently. It's possible to skip the boomerang in Vanilla NMG, and if you don't pick it up in the escape, you actually get a magic boomerang in C-shaped house in Dark World.
Worst consolation prize ever.
But I never would have ever encountered that because, the real boomerang is the one that you want to have anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have any lag frames. It's got an attractive blue color. It's got other benefits that I can't think of right now.
It's got stun prizes.
That's true. And stun prizes that cost significantly less lag. Although that's just a reiteration of the first point I made.
Fun fact, though, we haven't seen a stun prize yet in this game, and if you ever are looking for a nice, convenient drop, using a boomerang if you get it early, that will give you a unique item drop.
Yeah, very true. Also, I'd like to point out saltyphry had an incredible bombable floor recovery in that room. The red jellyfish got in his way. He quick ducked out of the way and ducked right back and happened to be in the right pixel area to throw that bomb. That was pretty incredible. All right, so saltyphry skipped the bomb jump the first time he was in here. Does nail it on the first try, his second time back. So definitely very capable of the strategy.
Yeah, it's one of those bomb jumps that's, kind of finicky to learn, but I would say it's much easier than, say, hammer jump, in my opinion. But opinions do vary on that one. But a nice double kill of the Stalfos Knights here for thalane. It's almost like we're watching, and this really actually does look like an NMG race to me.
Yeah, a little bit. Now, both of these runners, so saltyphry did not come back here for the items that were hammerlock. I'm trying to remember if thalane did.
Yeah, thalane, I'm pretty sure he did.
I think he did.
He
too,
definitely did.
See, I'm I've been right like once or twice, so I'm afraid to make any strong statements about anything anymore.
No, this is where he saved and quit.
We're getting to see, due to all the Ice Palace double dipping here, we're getting to see the cool penguin bombs bonk strats multiple times, which I'm always in favor of. Synchronized penguin diving can only end in explosions, as far as I'm concerned.
There you go. I'm hoping someday we'll actually see in the rando tournament someone doing like Jade and Ice Armos or something like that.
One can only hope.
Or like Yuzu arrows in Armos 1. One can hope, but it's a tall order. Those are some pretty swag strats.
Alright, so because thalane had already cleared out those sections of Ice Palace, he does gain a little bit of time back on saltyphry here, and once again, the lead in this race changes. Not by much.
And it's one screen apart when it does.
Hey, quit trying to point out the artificial hype I'm trying to create here, Sarah. Come on.
No, it's just that's exactly what happened last time.
Yeah, you are so correct.
With this half magic and bomb boost, though, this is a much cozier fight.
Oh, yeah. And this is why those runners opted to go. Oh, thalane just slightly too late on that sword spin. Gets a little bit more cloud separation than he would like. But they still grew pretty nicely. He got a lot of double hits there.
Like, I mean, that was like the best possible reaction, in my opinion. Like, after messing up that first spin.
In fact, he ended up getting them more clustered together than saltyphry did there.
Wow, really using those lag frames to his advantage, making sure every shot counted.
Yep, so Cold Stare did not have the last progression item. Unless you count having a larger quiver to be progression, but I certainly don't. And neither does the randomizer logic.
And without silvers, I guess it's kind of cool to have more quiver, but you really never need more than 20 or 30. I mean, let's be real here.
All right,
well,
so
with that,
I think the runners are thinking super hard about going into Swamp right now.
I mean, that's the dungeon progression that's left for us. And we did just get the hook shot in Turtle Rock of all places. Turtle Rock progression, in my opinion, you got to follow that logic.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot of other places to go. saltyphry opting to walk out instead of saving and quitting to Link's house there. It's probably pretty close, but I think the save and quit might be just a little bit faster. Maybe he was worried about keeping full hearts for some reason. Yeah,
that's literally the only thing I can think of.
Well, literally the only thing I can think of right now is sweet, delicious chocolate chip cookies, but that's because I had lunch and no dessert.
Oh, man. Ouch.
Oh, is saltyphry? Is he going to...
Is he going to dupe the bomb? You can't dupe the bomb if there isn't a bomb.
Yeah, I'm a bit curious what he's thinking there, because Desert Palace would be the last logical place. Like once he clears that, he's in go mode. So taking the time to do Fat Fairy there would be not the correct play, and it looks like he came to that same conclusion as well. So he's just going back down to Swamp here.
Well, he'll lose a little bit of time on thalane, but there's still plenty of opportunity to potentially gain some of that time back, whether it's finding that book or flute earlier somehow by making a different decision here in Swamp Palace. Because, I mean, this is actually a situation where I think it makes sense to dive to the back.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. Like, if you're going for pure, like, chest per minute at this point, which I think you should. Yeah, that is the correct play. But, you know, if you wanted to take a gamble and clear it the most efficient way possible, the left side first into the back is the way to go for, like, full clear fastest.
Exactly. So that's why this is such an interesting, moment for these runners with only one item that they really need. And they're definitely not going to need the other if it's one or the other. Book or flute will be the one that they need.
Oh, and it's still possible that hookshot was a red herring. I mean, I doubt it, but, for all we know, book or flute could be on catfish or something. Doubtful,
and that is
but
something
possible.
we haven't checked.
All right, so we're going to be seeing what Thalane's going to be doing pretty quick here. You're always getting this key, so we don't know quite yet. He'll probably check the bottom first. And then if I was a betting man, I would say he'll probably go to the back.
Of course, if we find that big key, that could be another thing it influences us. The number of dungeon items that we find, like map and compass, could always be a factor here in this decision.
Yeah, very true. No one wants to go left-sided. It turns out it was map and compass. And since we found none of those things, I have a feeling the back is going to be the play to make. Oh, I'm a huge liar. No, I was wrong. My streak is broken. Oh, God. It's time to hang up my commentator's mic. I was wrong. Feels bad, man.
Hopefully that doesn't happen, but because I did enjoy this commentary with you so far, but he may be choosing to go left in spite of the fact that this can be potentially excluded. Just to play safe, he may be thinking that saltyphry would make the same decision.
True. Although, and given how tight the seat has been in terms of progression, he probably has a feeling that his opponent is very close to him in progression. Quick question in chat, how many items are in Swamp? There are 6 non-dungeon items in Swamp, so it's a pretty item-heavy dungeon.
Ooh, saltyphry does dive to the back, so we're going to find out, folks, pretty soon, and I think on saltyphry's screen first, based on how long left side is, whether or not this was a good decision.
Yeah, I mean, this right here and Ganon's tower routing are probably going to be the 2 biggest divergences we're going to have in this seed.
Yeah, besides some very small changes that we saw early on, they did coincide their routes several times. Ice Palace being another example, but here we are in Swamp Palace, looking at side-by-side strategy differences. Really exciting for a randomizer race.
Oh yeah, agreed. Also, I love you too, man. I forgot to reciprocate the comment you gave.
I'm feeling the love.
It's like Lion King up in here. All right, so is that 3rd B-Torp?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
B-Torp tri-firmed.
Yikes. Ooh, actually, you know what? If you're going to do left side swamp and have it not be progression, that's probably one of the better rewards you can get as far as giving you time back. That's actually incredible.
And in this dungeon of all places where that's going to save so much time on the boss fight.
Yeah, that's actually... That's ridiculous. Like, that and silvers would have been the 2 biggest things you could have found to make left side swap worth it.
Bottle's definitely not bad. I mean, but now that we have the tempered, it doesn't really matter too much.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so saltyphry will lose a little time on this Argus fight. And wow, he has gotten bad luck. Argus has done full movement every single time there. That is annoying. Argus can either move short or long, and he went long all 3 times.
Yep, this is definitely one of the more frustrating fights with Master Sword. One thing you could potentially do to try to be a little quicker is you can try hookshotting 2 of them at a time, but that is also depending on Argus not moving much.
Yeah, and also the penalty for messing that up actually ends up costing you more time. So yeah, it's not a particularly great Argus fight for Salty. He tried his best with what he was given, but just did not work out very well for him there.
So you're saying double hookshot is kind of like chest turns?
I'm gonna give that joke a question mark because I don't understand the reference. I need you to help me out.
Oh, you have like 1 frame after you open a chest where you can change the direction Link's facing, and it can save you frames, but if you do all of them and mess up one of them, you actually lose time.
I did not know that. NMG faxed. Hashtag.
Well, another thing of note here is that with the burrito...
Oh, he went all the way back for the big key chest, and it was the map. Oh, gross.
Well, with that location being there, and with everything that we found here in Swamp, saltyphry is going to dive back in and get his tempered sword, which is good for him. But a time loss altogether. We also have a green pendant, so I'm wondering, does anybody go to sriracha sauce?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be eating delicious hot wings, you probably... Oh, the guy in the game. Yeah, that's probably where you go next.
Yeah, the Cowboy King.
But
Nobody's
yeah,
ever going to convince me he's not wearing a big old 10-gallon hat.
You're right. I'm probably not gonna be able to convince you. That sounds about right. All right, so saltyphry, as you mentioned, if you're going to clear left side, doing it in the beginning of the dungeon is faster than going back in. But because of the location of the big key, since thalane had to go back out to the center of that dungeon and go back in again, he did lose a little bit of time over what saltyphry's doing. So this left side routing is actually costing him a little bit less time than it would normally.
Yeah, I was going to say, because he has tempered for this fight, so I mean, that's like, does this become almost time neutral?
Well, yeah, that's a really good point.
Like a situation you would almost never see in a race.
Well, and especially considering how much trouble saltyphry had with Phase 1 Argus here. He's most certainly did this fight faster than saltyphry did.
Well, lead changes being a theme, getting closer after the hour mark, and here we are. Thalane's going to leave Swamp Palace first, and he's got a decision to make. Is it Catfish? Is it, you know, the old man?
Yeah, I mean, and we've still got a bunch of mirror lock locations that were kind of one-offs, like Cave South the Haunted Grove, Graveyard Ledge. And it looks like thalane is opting to do the South the Haunted Grove Cave, or Cave 45, whatever you call it.
Yep, your instinct's serving you very well. There's no reason to go to anything else if you're heading in this direction, so we know for certain he is going there.
That sounded like a really roundabout way of saying you're right, Files.
Yes, but I wanted to be more, I guess, descriptive about it. I was really appreciating the correctness.
$300, wow. So
Yeah,
the
Thalane,
Hylians
though,
are
he's
not
not
only
right.
paying their taxes, but they're hiding their money in caves.
Remains to be seen whose laundered money that is, though.
I wonder if thalane is going to go up to Graveyard Ledge. It's borderline faster to go this way than it is to save and quit and go up to, and then, you know, get your own Dark World warp point, maybe. Boy, thalane has had nothing but trouble with setting up his spin speeds this seed, unfortunately.
Yeah,
He's gotten them all eventually, but...
Oh, we do
Hammerpig Cave. We forgot about Hammerpig Cave. And by we, I mean me.
Well, no, I mean, we both did, but he also has his mushroom, so he could do a fake powder as well.
Oh, yeah, that's very true.
But half magic to deplete, unfortunately.
Yeah, that would be that'd be a lot of fire rod shots.
Well, that's two shields.
Yeah, I mean, the first one being on Laser Bridge was kind of amusing.
Yeah,
I guess
you
theoretically could have gotten that shield before actually going to Laser Bridge Cave. All right, well, that answers our question about whether or not there was an item in Blind's dungeon. This is a pretty big time commitment for thalane. Opting to go here instead of like the green pennant turn-in or the other locations is a pretty interesting choice.
Yeah, I can definitely see why, like you were mentioning before, and you said a couple times, chess per minute being a thing. Being able to check all these things in the west side while he's on his way through seems to me like the density is why he's going this way instead of eastern.
Oh yeah, like I don't blame him at all. I totally understand the decision. But it looks like, oh, that's right, saltyphry hasn't done the chess turn-in. So this is going to affect his decision.
You know, I'm kind of curious to see that thalane didn't do the magic powder thing. Now you could, it's possible he doesn't do fake powder. I mean,
yeah, it's certainly possible. Not every runner agrees with the decision to do it, but saltyphry is setting up for it right now. So for those that don't know, if you spam Canis Samaria and then quick switch to Mushroom, the game will throw out a quote-unquote fake powder, which is what you just saw saltyphry do. So if this ends up being the book or the flute, that would be incredible.
Nope, $20 for your time and your magic, unfortunately.
Yikes!
Well, we got another item check here.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is glorious. We're getting twice the efficiency in stereo here.
Oh no!
Flute! Flute in Thieves Town. Oh my god! So the game wanted you to skip Thieves Town and go into Hammerless Ice Palace and then go back to Thieves Town for the flute? That's gross.
Let alone all the things we had to do to get that hammer, to get the Titan's mitts.
Well, you know, it'd be extra interesting if the book was in the same level of, highly doubtful, but if the book was in the same level of unlocks.
Yeah, come to think of it, I mean, if we had an opportunity to get the book, say, a Catfish, I mean, we could have avoided a lot of this.
Yeah. I mean, given the way that the the logic is played out. I mean, a hook shot in Turtle Rock being, still being required for Ganon's Tower, even though we didn't need it for any dungeons, or any crystal dungeons, that is.
Well, so I think that makes it about 138.30 or so for Thalane's Go mode, but that is Go mode. I mean, that is everything that we need in order to complete all of the dungeons and Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, that's correct. So the longer Saltyphry puts off that Thieves Town check, the worse off he's going to be. Now,
Well, Sanctuary is a good sign.
Yeah, going to Sanctuary, I can't think of many other things he'll do. He might opt to do Graveyard Ledge before going into Thieves Town. And, that would not be a terrible move in my book. It just won't pay off in this case.
Right, it takes less time to get to. Well, I think it's a little late in the in this competition to be doing a Hyrule National Anthem, but we did just get one. Play ball, I guess.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I did see that Thalane attempted to pick up the portal rock from the south side when he went to Misery Mire entrance portal when he flew it to
Going
it.
for the fast
I'm
moves.
wondering if he was trying to set his altitude for later.
Oh, Saltyphry's doing the Thieves Town check before the Graveyard Ledge. I mean,
That's great news for Saltyphry.
It is, yeah. He'll only be, I mean, Thalane is definitely a bit in the lead here, but the difference right now is, GT routing at this point. At this point, I'm really curious where the book was. It's probably in Ganon's Tower, would be my guess.
Yeah, that would be pretty funny. Well, Thalane is going to take down his final crystal boss here. The Lamolis fight is going to be very fast with Fire Rod and Half Magic.
Yes, very true. It's going to be pew pew lasers. And you've even got a sword spin to, Flame not having the best luck with his Lanmos, but does get a nice clean 2-cycle, so.
Also, with that being said, I think you know what time it is, don't you?
It is about 2:43 Central Daylight Savings Time.
Well, it's 3:42 here in Eastern Daylight Time. However, it is actually the time for us to make our way up to Ganon's Tower. There are 22 locations that the big key can be located in the... I'm really word soup in this. 22 locations in Ganon's Tower that can have the big key. Get your guesses in chat where you think it's going to be. Files, do you have any preferences of where you think it's going to be?
I always do the same thing every time that there is a big key game. When I'm commentating, and that's I don't guess a chest number. I always guess a room, because that way I can include every chest in that room and further increase the chances of me being right.
I like it. It's definitely spoken like a true speedrunner to guess the same or to do the same thing every time.
Yeah, exactly. I've got commentator muscle memory for cheating. That's what I'm all about. So
well, I got a love for Bob's chest myself. What about you?
I'm a big fan of Randomizer Room, both because it's the room named after the randomizer, and also because it contains 4 glorious chests.
There you go, playing by the numbers.
Yeah,
well, folks,
exactly.
get your guesses into chat. We're going to cut this off once we get to the Ganon's Tower basement room when we approach it. If you are a subscriber to any of these speed gaming channels or have donated 250 bits across all the channels at any point, you are eligible to be entered into the leaderboard as well. But otherwise, we're happy to have you to play for fun. We're definitely going to see who has the best guessing logic.
You might play for fun, but we play for blood here at the big key guessing game.
Why not both?
Why not one because of the other?
Exactly. Saltyphry's heading to Desert Palace, and Thalane is about to enter in this crystal cutscene. Something I learned from NMG is the lower you enter this cutscene from, the faster it all loads.
I did not know that either. Is it because the tower is flashing less? So it lags
I suspect. I mean, Hera is the one who told me about it, and I'm assuming he's correct.
I feel like that's a really big assumption.
I'm getting called on my possible blush.
All right, so we have entered Ganon's Tower. So let the sequential counting of numbers begin.
And it starts with 1, right?
I was gonna say 9er, but all right. So no right side gambles to be made. So the only way that Saltyphry would be able to make up time on a right side gamble would be Dark Magician strats at this point.
Yeah, in the first 3 chests, nothing of significance, except that powder is pretty nice. Extra little safety that the lane could potentially use against anti-fairies and several other places.
It's also worth noting that Bob will live.
I appreciate the lane and your efforts to protect our Lord and Savior.
That would make your choice of Bob chest even more poignant if it ended up being correct.
Yeah, he could be the caretaker of the most important item in this dungeon. But 4 and 5 being compass and small key, we're not finding it yet.
Yeah, 6, another small key, and 7 is also going to be not useful.
You know, Thalane's got a ton of health right now. He's got 16 hearts to work with. Losing one from that or 2. I'm going to hold off for a.
He's trying to set up the cross hookshot thing there, but the nerves of competition can get to anybody, including very skilled runners.
Yeah, I'm very impressed that both of these runners appear to be finishing this race under 2 hours. I mean, like, unless something goes really wrong for saltyphry, he should be pretty clear to do the exact same thing, having just finished Desert Palace himself. For what we've been dealing with here, I'm just impressed by the completion speed of this seed.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
I'd be like 3 hours in thinking, oh gosh, I still didn't get all the collection.
I'd be 3 hours in debating whether or not I wanted to go into Hammerless Ice Pod or Ice Palace. But Hammerless Ice Pod also would be an interesting dungeon.
I mean, that's the route that, you'd eventually have to take.
Pretty much. All right, let's see what's in chest 9. Nothing. Well, not nothing, but not a big key.
However, he is getting pretty close to a full health refill, which could actually be very convenient for mini Helmosaurs. If he doesn't want to waste time.
Bombs.
Yeah, dropping lots of them. Why do you think that is, Files?
Because he's trying to pay tribute to the randomizer room, which will hopefully make me correct.
11 is going to be the silvers.
Ah, a fitting end of this seed with me being incorrect one more time. It feels good. It feels right.
I mean, you definitely did get something pretty awesome in there. The AG arrows being pretty useful.
I appreciate you attempting to make me feel better.
Well, I mean, Thalane's the one who probably feels the best about that. Although he might not really need the silvers, it does make a couple of rooms a little faster. And, Ice Armos, if he ends up having to kill him, that's a convenient place to pick those up.
Yeah, and we're about to see if saltyphry was going to do anything to, quote-unquote, increase chances of his getting back into this race with a right side play. We'd be finding out right now. Oh no! Thalane misses Bob's chest. We'll never know if you're right.
No.
Oh man, that is crazy. So Thalane has got to be just praying to God that the big key is not in that one chest.
Why do you hate me, Thalane?
Wait, so that screws up my count. What are we at now?
Chest 14 is technically.
Wow.
I mean, you do say that's 14, right?
Yeah, that is 14. It's the chest checked. Yep.
What's even crazier about that is that's a time save.
Yeah, you're right. Hashtag he knew all along. Well, I think the important thing is Thalane took the time in his busy day to go out of his way to prove that we were both wrong in our big key guesses. I can respect that.
First the silver arrows, and then he was so excited about getting those silver arrows, he's like, Bob, screw him.
Yeah, worth noting that saltyphry is opting to do Dark Magician strats. Now, this will pay off, but only if you go all the way deep, all the way through to Armos. Now, most people that do Dark Magician strats do not go that far in. A lot of people will opt to mirror out once they check the kind of the beetle room here with the 4 chests. So we'll have to see what saltyphry does.
But he'll probably lose time on, depending on how his Ice Armos is, but he won't have silver arrows for it.
Oh, yeah, that's true, because silver arrows were in the random room, yeah. Way to squelch his dreams.
I don't even know which one's worse at this point. I mean, because, I guess, yeah, it'd probably be better to just go without him at this point, but, ugh.
Well, if he opts to go... So we'll see what he does. He'll pick up this small key, and then whether or not he mirrors or not will tell us what's happening. All right, so he is going to save time in Ganon's tower climb, but perhaps lose time in the fight itself. This is pretty interesting.
Now, of course, a silverless Ganon with Tempered Sword is not really that bad. It's 12 sword spins. You need, you can do it with triples if you have Fire Rod and half magic. It's not that long, but Silver's is objectively faster.
Landmolus not being kind to Thalane this season. Oh no, he's gonna get a triple. Oh,
He is 0 for 2 on getting 1 cycles, let alone 2 cycles. He's 1 for 2 on that.
I can't argue with math. All right, well, we'll see what was in Bob's chest. We'll see if saltyphry manages to pick it up.
Man, just oh, the extra insult.
Good stuff. Oh, and Bob is luckily in a position to not steal all of saltyphry's mana, which is nice. Saltyphry's gonna have to do this fight without silvers, so he'll be losing time here as well. Actually, now that I think about it, not a ton of time, but noteworthy at the very least.
Yeah, one thing that he could possibly do to improve this setup is shoot 1 or 2 of his arrows to the left when he starts to kind of delay the spinning cycle of these Armos. They don't actually start to spin in a circular motion until they all reach the resting point.
All right,
there's his big key.
Yep. Very interesting that he opts to not check those back 2 chests for either butter sword or silvers. Can't say I blame him. The odds of those chests being worthwhile are pretty low, but it's not a non-zero number.
Yeah, and certainly a quick one to check at that point. The lane here doesn't appear to be going towards those chests. Wouldn't have much reason to. Continuously dropping bombs, not to save a menu or anything. Apparently, just as a show of force and a statement. And he can't save a menu because he has powder.
I just assumed it was because he had like bomb diarrhea. I was trying not to discuss it. I don't want to embarrass him.
He does have quite a large bomb bag.
I don't want to hear about the size of his bomb bag. Oh no, he gets Moldworm knocked out.
Moldworm doesn't want to hear it either.
Yikes.
Well, with that though, saltyphry is going to make his way through Ganon Ball Z. We'll see what see if that goes better in next episode. But the lane here is getting his refight.
Yeah, I mean, all this extra time is giving saltyphry more time to catch up. I mean, at this point, Thalane's definitely got the lead with silver arrows and further progression in Ganon's tower. But all it might take is one Ganon fall or something like that. I mean, this race could suddenly get crazy close again.
And of course, the lane does take the time to grab that vanilla big 20 at the Moldworm 2 chest, really making sure that he rounds out his progression at the end of the seed.
He wants to please the crowd with memes. Okay, I can respect that.
I think the seed is doing that as well, giving him a vanilla big 20. I mean, that's just the amazing insult to the end. Well, a very difficult Agahnim 2 pattern to deal with, and saltyphry is in his Lamol 2 fight.
Yeah, Thalane needed to bust out his protractor for this fight.
So Katoa?
Geometry. Yeah, this is one of those fights that's really annoying because if the main Ganon gets separated by his clones too much by the cycle, it gets a lot harder to time those hits to get doubles and triples.
Well, all in all, though, despite some minor slip-ups there, he does manage to finish up the Agahnim 2 fight. Only a couple of rupees shy of 1,000. He's not going to finish the game with more than that. Saltyphry, however, has the inverted digit count for his bombs. He is not dropping them all over the place in this Ganon's tower here.
Yeah, he took some bomb Imodium. He's going to be all right.
Explodium?
Better joke. we workshop the crap out of that one. That's teamwork right there. There wasn't any. All right, so we got Thalane working on his Ganon fight here with tempered silvers and half magic. This is going to be pretty straightforward, I would imagine.
Had some pretty bad luck with his Ganon warp there. He didn't get the ideal position to do some spin slashes there. Tempered Sword, though, very common fight for people to practice.
Oh, yeah.
Not because of, speedrun or anything.
Yeah, why would they? Alright, does get a double phase 2 Ganon there, unfortunately. We'll see how kind he is with his teleports.
Well, not bad at all so far.
Meanwhile, saltyphry finishing up his Moldworm, looks like. Having a little trouble with that last hit, but I don't think he took a fell, so does make up a little time over the lane there.
Yep, we only need 3 more arrows here.
Yep. saltyphry also respecting the memes with the validation chest there.
All right, we're on the last shot here and missing the blue Ganon there, but he'll finish it up with this last arrow.
That was a silverless sword swing, if I remember correctly there. Or if I saw that correctly there.
Yeah, I think so, because that's what, a 2-frame window?
I do not. I know it's very tiny. Could not tell you the number.
Yeah, it's a really tight window to do that.
All right, so that's a GG to thalane. Looks like he finishes up with an official speedrunning TV time of 1 hour, 54 minutes, 48 seconds. Get your GGs out for thalane.
And his end title card reminding us that the Windfish will be waking soon, 2-2.
Yep. There's a pretty great randomizer out there for Zelda 4 Link's Awakening, actually, for those that are interested.
I would actually like to try that. That's one of the few games where Link can jump, besides the most recent one.
Yeah, that is true. All right, so we got saltyphry just minutes behind his opponent, heading into the Ganon fight here. And in the meantime, we'll see if we can't get thalane in here for an interview.
Yep, looks like saltyphry dropping in has the same fight to deal with, except it is going to be silverless, so he's going to... And he's going to find out, too, that it was in the Gan's Tower, so he's probably going to regret his routing choice a little bit.
Yeah, that's always annoying.
Well, he does get the 1 cycle in the first phase.
That is true. And while saltyphry is finishing up the Ganon fight, it looks like we are joined by thalane. Thalane, congratulations and GG. You will finish up your Swiss brackets, your Swiss tournament with a 6-1 record. How does it feel?
I'd say it feels pretty good. Although I didn't know if I would win or not. Like, some gambles really paid off big time, but my execution was not as good.
Yeah, this was a pretty weird seed. A really tight beginning as far as progression items, and the game wanting you to double dip Ice Palace without the hammer. It was gross.
Did it really expect us to double dip? I mean, we fought the hammer.
You didn't actually have to double dip, but it was just a lack of magic where the key was that really ended up hurting you. Although your opponent did the exact same thing that you did.
Oh, so he also save and quit after he got all the items?
Pretty much. He didn't go back up to the right side of Ice Palace with the hammer items, but you guys both did not have sufficient mana to defeat Cold Stare with just the Fire Rod, so you both ended up ducking out and going to pod. You guys were really close for almost this entire race, actually. It was a really fun race to watch.
Yeah, he didn't end up getting those items until he came back to Ice Palace later.
Yeah, I'm just happy we could be a little bit entertaining, at least.
Yeah, for a match that didn't have a lot of effect on the brackets, it was certainly still a treat to watch.
Well, looking at that, though, not more than 3 minutes apart, it looks like saltyphry is finishing up Ganon here with his silverless fight. He actually went right side Ganon, or Ganon's Tower, but he's going to finish with an official speed racing TV time of 1 hour, 57 minutes, and 43 seconds. GG.
All right, we'll see if we can't get, see if saltyphry is interested in an interview here.
All right, looks like we are, in fact, joined by saltyphry. GG, and congratulations on finishing up the seed.
Thank you. GG, thalane.
GG, Fry.
That was definitely an interesting seed, to say the least, with the hammer in Ice Palace and then flew back in that chest in Thieves Town.
Yeah, it definitely was. I thought about, like, I don't know, did you clear Swamp Palace as well?
Oh yeah, I pretty much cleared everything except for Catfish and the cave above the graveyard.
Oh yeah, kind of the same for me. I also had Skullwoods left.
I did that pretty early after I got the Fire Rod. I went and did Hype Cave before actually going in Thieves Town. I try to put off Thieves down for a little while if I don't have the hammer for this type of situation, although obviously I was never going to put it off long enough to get that hammer, most likely.
Yeah. I mean, it made sense to go in before Ice Palace.
One question I have for both of you guys is, once you finished up in Ice Palace and both kind of saved and quit out, you went back to Palace of Darkness to finish up Helmasaur. Did you do that because you thought that Helmasaur might have an item because it was hammer locked, or just because you had to do it and it was never going to get any faster than like doing it right then?
You go first.
For me, it actually came down to, well, I was going to go kill, what's his name, Cold Stare, but then I realized I didn't have a key to get down there, and I'm like, well, I guess I just got to save and quit out. And I wasn't really sure what to do, and like, I realized, okay, I can buy myself a couple minutes while I go kill Helmasaur and figure out what I'm going to do. Was basically my idea then.
Yeah, for me, it was basically both things you just said. It was first reason was that Helmasaur still had an item, and the other one was, okay, I mean, I need to kill this guy anyway for the crystal, so why not do it just now and maybe think about what I'm gonna do next if he doesn't give me any progression. So it worked out pretty good, I guess.
Yeah, because the worst case scenario there is you just do something you got to do anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's definitely interesting to see that neither of you guys ended up checking certain one-off locations. And it makes sense, you know, statistically speaking, to avoid them. But neither of you guys saw Catfish, and I'm trying to think of what else we could have missed. I was really excited, though, to see that both of you had to do blind Lumberjack Cave checks to get the Titan's mitts. That was crazy.
Kind of like felt like it was heading that way one way or another. Like I figured those boots were leading to something, and then they didn't lead to anything in the bonk rocks. I'm like, well, hopefully this is the answer.
Yeah, the routing ended up being very, very convenient for both of you going on that left side for the bonk rocks into Lumberjack.
Yeah, I thought I might as well pick the item up no matter what it is. I mean, I went through the trouble and killed Agahnim, so why not just get the item?
Because I still wasn't 100% sure that Aga was required at that point. So I had left a couple locations. I could have gone up to Death Mountain. I could have checked Aegina's caves. There's a couple of things I still could have done at that point. But
Yeah,
I just gambled on Pod having something. I figured because there was more items in Pod than there was everywhere else. So I said, why not?
Yeah, I did exactly the same thing, so that's kind of funny.
Now, if I recall correctly, there was nothing in Swamp Palace of value.
Yeah, that's true.
Tempered Sword, and that was about it, I think.
Yes. But other than that, though, no real reason for either of you to be there. So it's interesting that, you know, there's a divergence as well. With going left side, I believe, thalane, you dove to the back, and saltyphry, you went left first. And saltyphry, you did actually save some time on him there.
That's interesting. Yeah, I definitely have to go back and watch. I'm always interested to go back and see what happened in these races.
Oh yeah, the lead went back and forth between you two guys based on like little places you had checked that your opponent hadn't checked. You know, for how tight the beginning of the seed was, you guys still managed to have tiny little divergences in how you approached the routing. It was very interesting to watch. All right, well, any final thoughts from you guys before we wrap up your last round of the Swiss stage here of the tournament?
I just want to say thanks again for everyone that's doing the work behind the scenes. And GG, Fry.
Yeah, I second all that. Thanks to you guys for commentating. Thanks to the restreamers. Thanks to the trackers. And GG the lane. Maybe we'll have a rematch somewhere in the brackets.
Yeah, why not?
Well, that is definitely a possibility. Both of you have advanced, and congratulations to both of you for doing so. I want to echo some of the same sentiments. Really appreciate Files joining me for the commentary.